A whole bunch of Nintendo games were just leaked that are apparently coming to E3. Will they be good? Will they be bad? Hot take. So an image online leaked that basically showed a whole bunch of games that are supposed to be coming to E3 this year by way of Nintendo. Now, I looked at the list, Adam looked at the list.
Yes.
And we're pretty excited because there's games on here that, honestly, some of them are, you know, okay, I know that these were going to be coming out, like FIFA 19. We saw FIFA 18, so that made sense. Dragon Ball FighterZ, I was hoping we were going to see that because the game, by the way, if you haven't seen it, looks amazing. Looks like it's actually animated episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
What's great about Dragon Ball FighterZ is that I think Xenoverse 2, at least in Japan, it sold better on the Switch than it did on the PS4.
Yeah.
And that was with like several months of a gap between the two, the releases.
And you know what? That's funny because in North America with the Switch, we're seeing a lot of indie games sell better. So I think that there's developers out there that are willing to just kind of push forward. Now, this list, we don't know if these are going to be real. We've actually heard one or two companies out there have actually confirmed that this list is real. So that's exciting, but I still have my reservations because when you see something like this, they're probably trying to build a lot of hype and stuff. At the bottom right on that list, we see Mario Tennis Aces. And you know what? Hey, that's coming out on the Switch. That ain't coming out on the Xbox.
I think several people have already played a demo of that, of Aces. It's kind of out there. And something interesting about this list that I did see online was that you do see numbers under each of the little headers there. And supposedly, some people are kind of guessing that this was for banners that are going to go up for like actual on-the-floor like gameplay demos.
Yeah. See,
so that kind of makes sense,
you know what? It's funny because whenever I never thought about that before.
Yeah.
Whenever I go to an event, Nintendo has invited me to events in the past to actually try out games. There's usually like a little card that basically tells you what that specific station is demoing.
Right.
And so that could easily be a demo station.
Yeah.
Honestly,
we can't confirm that for sure, but that is kind of the rumor that's floating around. And it would also explain why there aren't some of the like what you would expect as like the bigger games on here because they may not be like playable demos. But I did hear though that Super Smash is going to be playable.
Yes.
And that isn't here on the list. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they probably didn't fit all the banners on one page, but regardless, just by going off this list, we got like a lot of really interesting stuff here. So we can see Monster Hunter on there.
Yeah. This is Monster Hunter. I have it here. It's Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. And Monster Hunter Generations originally came out on the 3DS. So this is probably, I'm assuming, an upgraded version of that. There is some information out about this title, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure about all that's included.
Yeah, and we also can see that there's Paladins on here.
Yes.
I never played Paladins before.
But Paladins is actually pretty important because this is probably the closest we'll get to Overwatch on the Switch.
Yeah, likely. Overcooked 2. Now, again, I never played the first Overcooked. I saw a lot of gameplay.
You never played the first?
Everyone
You know
told
what we're
me
doing after this? After our hot take.
A lot of people
we're going to make a hot plate.
A hot plate. It's about cooking. I know that much. I've seen a lot of really cool footage of it, and Overcooked, a lot of people told me it's a really fun multiplayer game.
Yes, absolutely.
So seeing something like that come to the Switch makes sense because,
you
know what? I'm going to say this about the Switch. When I think of the Nintendo Switch, I think of it more as a multiplayer device now.
Oh, absolutely.
Compared to like any of the other systems because it just feels that way. I can bring the Switch to somebody's house and just start playing with them with the one Switch, you know?
When we first saw like the teaser for the Switch originally, like the people bringing it to the rooftop and sharing the controllers and stuff, everyone kind of like laughed and said, okay, no, that's never going to happen. But I've been seeing Switches more and more in the wild where like people bring it to like a bar or like to a restaurant or to a park and they're literally taking the Joy-Con off and playing, and Overcooked 2 would be perfect for that.
Yeah, I've seen that a bunch of times. I mean, we're biased. We're gaming YouTubers, and every time I go out socially, it's always with other like YouTubers and gaming people. But you know, in general, I think that's pretty much accurate to what you're going to see here.
Yeah.
Now, Killer Queen Black.
Do you know about Killer Queen?
I do not. Explain it.
Okay, great Queen song, by the way.
Okay, that is one of the best Queen songs.
Killer Queen is, I think it may be released online on Steam now, but originally it came out in arcade cabinet form, and it was a 5v5 like multiplayer, like 2D sprite animated arcade machine. I think it was 2 machines actually, like back.
Oh, kind of linked. I get what you mean.
Yeah. And there's like 3 different ways that you can win. It's sort of like resource management and mixed with balloon fight. It looks really, really cool. And you know, when you talk about balloon fight and the Nintendo Switch, it kind of goes, you know, hand in hand.
So something that you would probably want to play with people in the same room?
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, it was originally 5v5, so I don't know exactly how that's going to work. You get a bunch of Switches together with a bunch of Joy-Con, or are you going to get like, you know, like
I mean, Nintendo is exploring the whole online element right now, and they have to give reasons for people to want to go out and get their online service.
Right.
So if this is one of those games where that happens, in FIFA 19, that's a gambit, right? So FIFA 19, a lot of people out there are going to want to get the online service to play that game online,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, we had discussed that earlier, though. FIFA 18, we did see some issues with that, right? The earlier release.
Yeah.
So, we'll have to see what happens with FIFA 19, because we don't know if there's going to be space issues with the cart or what.
Well, you know, likely if people have managed to work with FIFA 18 and its limitations, by the time they get to 19, likely they're going to uninstall 18. And if the game isn't too much bigger in size, or maybe this time around they've actually made a FIFA game that will actually fit on there. But, you know, sports games, boring. Starlink Battle for Atlantis?
Yeah. Is it Atlas? Battle for Atlas.
Atlas, sorry guys.
Pardon. Yeah, this was announced a while back, and this is actually a Toys to Life game?
When they first showed off the Switch, they were showing off that game where you can take all those pieces and kind of click them together. And I'll be honest, Amiibo to me is a really interesting idea, but I feel like the implementation of it hasn't been too strong. It's just the way that you interact with games. It's always like this added piece that comes to a game, and it never really feels like it's cohesive. With this, you're actually building pieces onto a ship, and I like that idea.
Kind of like Lego Dimensions, I guess, in a sense. Sure.
But I get nervous because I don't want to have to spend a lot of money to go out and buy additional toys and elements to make everything work. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that's Ubisoft?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's something I like the idea, but I hope what they give you is enough pieces so that you can do whatever you want that way. I don't want to... And from what I remember from the video, the toy kind of added on to the controller. Which is like...
bizarre.
It really is, because it's like, I'm thinking, the Switch controller as it is right now, not the Pro controller, but the base one that you can kind of clip together, there's already too much stuff.
So, from what you saw, like, because I saw it on, I think it was on a PS4 controller, I believe, but was it actually attached to the Switch console itself?
Not the Switch console. I believe what I saw was, you know what, I could be
grip?
very wrong.
Was it on the grip?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
I don't, it's just, I think on the PlayStation 4 controller, you're dealing with one solid controller, but when it comes to the Switch, you're dealing with a lot of multiple components, and you're getting into that realm.
So it makes you start questioning, like, how does this attach to every individual thing? But we'll have to see. One thing that I'm not too keen on with the Toys to Life that Amiibo is great for is that when I'm finished with Amiibo, I put them on my shelf, and they look pretty.
Yeah. I mean, well...
These are probably going to wind up in a bin somewhere. I'm probably not going to be showcasing these. Hey guys, check out my Starlink collection.
You know, what I want, I like the idea of building a starship. I like the idea of exploring whatever you do in like an online universe like that, or even just single-player dimension. But I like doing that in the game, and I like building that. I don't necessarily need the toys to warrant that kind of crafting.
Yeah.
And I hope that what they're doing here has a little bit more weight to it. And has some interesting abilities and additional things that they haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
Because the Switch, the Switch Joy-Cons, left and right Joy-Cons, for me right now, they're starting to get a little loose. It's been about a year now. They're getting a little loose. They don't feel as tight as they used to.
That's scary.
And I'm just worried that adding more weight onto that, even if it's not like a heavy device, I'm at the point now with my Switch where I don't like taking the Joy-Cons off the left and right. I like keeping it in there and using the Pro controller when I have to, because I want the Switch to last as long as possible. And, you know, at the beginning, everyone really felt like these things were locked on and really well designed, and they were. But I've gone through a couple of implementations where, you know, now they're starting to get a little bit loose, and I'm just hoping that that doesn't exacerbate issues.
Another thing I'm wondering about this, just my last little bit on Starlink, is like, who is this for exactly? Because the Toys to Life thing always, I always kind of figured it was more of like for kids. approach to gaming.
Well, because Labo didn't do very well,
Right.
Right, and that essentially is that same idea, and that was just cardboard,
Right.
Right. This is going to be most likely a lot more
So
expensive.
is this aimed at adults? Like adults are going to pick these up and like, because at least with Skylanders or Amiibo, like kids can play with these things after, you know, like an action figure in a sense.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be running around my apartment with this spaceship, you know.
Well, I will, but
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's just me. Okay, so the last game on the list, and we saved this one for the very last because
Okay.
this is by far the most important game they've got on here, Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Fortnite...
You kept saying, but it's not on the Switch, but it's not on the Switch. And
now it looks like it's going to come to the Switch.
what
Now,
do you think about that?
So this is exciting for me because
Yeah.
there's multiple possibilities that happen. Now,
Right.
I've spoken to like a lot of younger audiences that are playing Fortnite right now, and one of the things I've noticed is that Fortnite seems to be being played even if the kids don't own a Switch, because obviously they're not playing on the Switch, but the younger audience doesn't seem to be buying into the Switch nearly as much as the older audience. So
it's still very expensive.
it still
right?
is.
Yeah.
A lot of kids out there, as weird as it is, own cell phones, right?
Yes.
This is becoming a more commonality as
Yep.
time goes along. And I think if they own a cell phone, they're willing to play Fortnite on the hardware they already own. Now, right off the top, okay, Fortnite is going to be way better on the Switch just because you've got physical controls.
Okay.
Everyone can agree with that.
Yeah,
I think that's like...
I agree with you completely, and it's not just that. The Switch is one thing, right? You're not dealing with several different types of cell phone or iPad. You know exactly what you're developing for, right?
It's going to be you're going to have a consistent format for it running.
I
You're
should
gonna
hope
have,
so.
Yeah, I mean, now here are my problems with Fortnite being on the Switch. One, again, if you're running around with your cell phone and you've got Fortnite on there, you can use your cell network to play the game online. Would never recommend that, but you could.
Yeah, I doubt anyone's doing that, but it is a possibility.
Yeah. With this, you're going to be going out there, and Battle Royale mode isn't going to work,
No.
you know, like that.
No.
I would imagine that if they do implement this, they're going to implement it in a way where people can, in a group, play Fortnite together offline.
I was going to say
Like,
that. I think that's the best approach to this because, yes, very unlikely that adults are going to go out and be playing this out in the wild and you know, either using their data or hooking up to Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we want that garden party experience or at a restaurant or whatever where you can just take a couple switches out and then you can have your own sort of mini battle royale, maybe even with AI characters.
Yeah.
as
Yeah,
well.
I mean that's the idea. I think
Sure.
I think there's going to be a lot more to this version.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, I think that Fortnite has the ability to really, really push forward because this is going to be one of the very first games that they've already had other ones on the Switch that are given away for free, right? Fortnite Battle Royale mode is a free game. Now, this logo here is not the Battle Royale mode. This is just the base model. And I'm hoping they include that game on there because that's a part of the experience as well if you want the single player.
Okay.
But I think that the Battle Royale mode has to be given away for free in order for it to make sense. If they were to charge for it, that would be insane, but I don't think they can do that,
No,
right?
I don't believe so. You're right. The word Battle Royale is, words rather, are not under there, and that's a little bit odd.
Yeah.
Right.
But the Fortnite coming to the Switch is a big deal. It's on all the other platforms. It's doing incredibly well. Everyone's playing it everywhere. I think Nintendo might be coming to the game a little bit late now because we
definitely.
don't... I mean, Fortnite is still popular, right? But
Hey, this is a heck of a lot better than the Minecraft 3-year gap between like Xbox 360 and the Wii U.
it's true.
So
I'm nervous for a couple of things. For one, Fortnite on the Switch, I imagine, is not going to have any voice over commands, or not voice over commands, but any way to speak to people.
Right. Well, they are implementing the online features in September,
I guess, but like I know from firsthand experience, Nintendo Switch's online abilities, even the ones that you're going to be paying for, all of them suck. I mean, they're just not as compared to everyone else. They're not up to par.
They have Nintendo has to prove themselves in this circumstance.
Yeah.
Because we've seen a very, very bumpy road for online play with Nintendo products in the past. Doesn't mean it's not going to work. They're doing a lot of things right recently, but we'll just have to wait and see how that is come September, I suppose.
As far as I'm concerned, on this list, Fortnite is by far the most exciting thing on here because it is the one thing that can drive people to want to buy the Switch. But here's the thing, right? Nintendo never sells their consoles at a loss, right? They always make money back from their stuff. But if a whole bunch of people start buying this, and Nintendo hasn't really implemented a method where buying things is easy for online services or whatever it may be, you might see Fortnite not make as much money on the Nintendo Switch because necessarily you don't see too many Nintendo fans really buying DLC. That's Nintendo. Nintendo recently has had a lot of DLC purchases in their games, and you know, arguably they've been doing a good job with that.
Right.
But I think the majority of Nintendo fans are not into that whole realm, and maybe that might harm them, maybe it might not.
Nintendo themselves are very new to the whole DLC movement, right? Splatoon 2 is getting some pretty big DLC that I think we might be seeing at E3 as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're still pretty fresh to it, man.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things up in the air there.
Yeah.
Personally, I think Fortnite being on the Switch is a smart idea. There's a lot of negatives that can happen with there. We've already seen the audience kind of grow and just explode, and it exploded without being on the Nintendo Switch. So will that audience necessarily want that experience on the Switch if they don't have voiceover or voice chat?
Or are they just too late to the party?
Yeah. I mean, they might be. We don't know enough.
Yeah.
Every time somebody has brought an independent game to the Switch, it's always done very well.
Yeah.
And I'm just assuming Fortnite is going to run really well on the Switch just because
there's no excuse. It's one ecosystem that the developers could develop for. So, yeah, the engine is pretty reasonable to mess with. So it shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
One question before we wrap things up. We have a list of 9 games here that possibly we could see at E3. What is one game that has not been announced yet that you'd like to see?
First party Nintendo, I would definitely want to see. I know this is going to sound...
Don't take mine. I got one too.
Okay, maybe you go first, and then I can just think of something else, so I don't actually.
Oh no, that's I got plenty.
You got plenty?
Okay. Here's one. I was sitting at my desk and I was like, oh man, what could they release that would get me really excited? And maybe not a lot of people would get excited about this, but I would like to see a Professor Layton game on the Switch.
I think that's.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Because we have so many other implementations newer implementations for controls and things. We have the HD Rumble. We have the different ways you can use the Joy-Con and stuff to solve puzzles. So I thought that was exciting.
Personally, Advance Wars.
That was going to be mine.
Okay,
that was the one I was talking about.
Was
Layton was my 2, man.
Advance Wars to me is one of my favorite portable games.
What about Battalion Wars? Advance Wars.
Advance Wars. I mean, I guess maybe they call it Switch Wars or whatever it is. I really. There was an independent game that was released recently that actually kind of mimics that.
You're gonna kill me.
But
I know exactly what you're talking about. Was that the roguelike one?
Yeah. I want to see another return to the original series that Nintendo was designing. I love that series. I love the franchise.
Since the DS.
Yeah.
We haven't seen.
I just want to see that come back. I think online that would be a fun game to play.
Absolutely.
And we never really had that online before.
Yeah, and it would be nice to see them push new modes, new characters, new ways of just playing the game itself. I don't want the same game. I want something that's evolved a bit.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, as weird as this is going to sound, in terms of first-party game or third-party games that are major that are coming to other systems and other platforms that I want to see come to the Switch, I know this is going to be stupid. I really want to see Battlefield. I really want to see Call of Duty. I really want to see these other games.
Do you not remember the Wii/Wii U incidents?
I do. They were bad, and they were bad implementations of those games. But I really believe that Nintendo could just swing it out there because we've never had those games portable. Right.
Imagine if there was an iteration that was different on the Switch or did things a little bit differently that just totally shocked people.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I hope we see Red Dead Redemption 2 announced for the Switch. It's not going to happen, right? But I really want that. I really want that Grand Theft Auto 5. I want those bigger experiences because I want to have those experiences on the go. I remember when they released Grand Theft Auto 3... or not stories,
Liberty City Stories and Vice City Stories for the PSP.
Exactly, for the PSP. And we got those open world games there. That was an amazing thing.
For sure. They were their own contained sort of games as well.
Yeah. And they were so fun. And I would love for Nintendo to be able to do that and bring that to this.
Do you think like a Red Dead, a mini Red Dead? Or are you expecting the full game? I wouldn't expect the full game to be coming to the Switch.
It feels like Rockstar is testing the water. And that's why LA Noire came out on there.
Yeah.
So what I would very much like to see is maybe not the latest games, but I would like to see Grand Theft Auto 4 Even like
I think they could do 5. I think they might be able to manage without well, I don't know if they could do online. Without online, probably. Just getting 5 on there.
if they remove online, there's all these additional features that the online mode has added that has made the game
right,
better,
right?
I think that if
Like vanilla.
I feel like they could go back and re-release Red Dead Redemption portably. I feel like they could
sure.
go back and with its
man, that
online
would
mode
kill. That
Exactly.
would sell like crazy. Are you
Right?
kidding me?
And that's what I want. I want to see that kind of stuff. I want to see
absolutely.
those kind of things. I want to see some classic games from Rockstar come back here, even if it was just a remaster of Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas.
Sure.
Those games being made portable would be really, really fun. And I know we already have them on our cell phones, right? But what a lot of people don't even realize is that the cell phone implementations of those games actually have graphical
Overhauls?
Yeah. So there's like elements of them that are better than they were when they originally came out. Enhanced reflections and lighting and stuff like that. And I would love to see that on the Switch, because I personally believe the Switch is a lot more capable than most of the cell phones that are on the market right now.
Absolutely.
So to see something like that for this Switch would be amazing.
Yeah, on a portable device. Having a trilogy of the older Grand Theft Auto games. They would
Chinatown Wars, that came out on the DS originally, and then we saw that come out to a bunch of other platforms.
PSP and iOS as well.
Yeah, I would love to see that come out. I mean, that's already basically a Nintendo game. I think that stuff would make sense. But I think that the relationship Nintendo has with Rockstar is a little rocky, and I don't know how well it works. And if this list is anything to go by, we're seeing a lot of companies that are trying to do things on the Switch that they simply didn't think the Switch was capable of. And I'll tell you right now, if Fortnite, a free game, comes out on the Nintendo Switch and it doesn't do well, that's going to spell very bad things for the Nintendo Switch in the future.
Especially, it's the biggest game in the world right now, man. If it doesn't do well, there's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. So, hoping for the best, and I think this is a pretty cool list.
You excited for E3?
Oh, yeah.